everyone. Gosh, all the excitement of the box and spring coming and the blossom out seems to be a little bit shot to pieces at the moment. Everything is a little bit upsy-daisy in the world, isn't it? And this, if I'm really honest, would be the time where I'd just love just to chat to you, because when you don't really feel like you've got your woohoos about you, makeup can be like the best thing. But then sometimes when there's a lot going on, it just seems insignificant. And I know it's not. But today I was like, what am I going to do? So I'm going to do what I feel. And this is what I would do if I was just doing my makeup quietly by myself. I'd look at myself and go, geez, you look pale. I haven't been using my James Read, have I? I've actually put on, I should put it here, my Giorgio Armani base. My shade is 5. This is the Illumina Silk. It comes actually now in this new miniature size, which is great. It's a 30ml, if I'm right by that. No, 18ml, which is perfect for us as makeup artists, because obviously they were 30ml and they were quite heavy and big. So this is really great. Giorgio Armani Illumina Silk is a really kind of, it's a very sort of cult foundation. We've used it for years as makeup artists, and we've balanced it often with another product called MAC Face and Body, which again is another cult product. They're completely different. This offers much more coverage. That is more light and sheer, but kind of creates this kind of encapsulated veil of colour of your face that doesn't tend to move. So the fusion of those two were just wonderful. I haven't used it for a while, but I do love it at work because it does give me a bit of coverage. And I just felt today that I didn't really want to faff around. I just wanted to get a little bit of coverage on my face that's going to last pretty much the whole day, because I've got a client this evening or this afternoon. So get it on now, cover up the old pigmentation, and have a good skin. This is my Laura Mercier Long-Wear Ultra Concealer, and this is shade NL, which is obviously a bit more neutral than I would normally wear, but this is the colour that I was actually sent. So, you know, beggars can't be choosers, but actually it works absolutely fine once it's mixed into the base. But it'd probably look a little bit sort of ashy on my skin if I just used that alone. So first of all, I'm going to brighten up my cheeks. Can't remember if I've used this before. See, I could check through my films and check. It's the Rosy Ink Anenome, and it's just a lovely, you know, I love all these kind of like peachy tones, and it's sort of like a creamy, moussey formula. But I'd have to say, just a little bit of that in that kind of round, sort of flushy application. It just gives a nice hue of colour against the black that I'm wearing. And I'm going to need a little bit more colour. So I'm going to do like a glossy lip and a dark eye. But I need a bit of a lift. So what we'll call this, lifting your grumpy mood makeup. Not that I'm really grumpy, I'm just a bit sort of discombobulated, and I'm sure you are too. Just think we've come from one thing to the next, and I don't want this channel to be about what's going on in the world, obviously, but I know we're all feeling it. It's a little bit of escapism. So I'm going to use my palette again because it's just Ace, and I'm going to use the lovely kind of bony contoury shade just in my socket, and I'm going to use some of the colours slightly differently than I would do. So when I feel tired or a bit sort of out of sorts, it's always nice to kind of lift up my eyes, because I find that's when they kind of tend to get quite hoodie and tired and grumpy. So it's quite nice to kind of push back that socket with this nice soft colour. Thank you for all the love on the box. I mean, apart from the shipping, which is a nightmare, and I do apologise for that. Not the best businesswoman in the world. I just assume things, and that's quite a big thing to assume, really, isn't it? But you live and learn. Anyway, it's done very well, and I'm so pleased that people have enjoyed the beauty bargain, because I mean, it really was a massive bargain. Maybe there is a few more left, I'm not sure. I think we're doing quite well though. Right, so that's the bony shade. Now I've applied that with the Bobbi Brown. This is called Eye Smudge, and this, as you can see, is sort of quite oval. So it just really helps you push the product into the socket, allowing the product to be most dark at the depth of the socket, which is great. Now, I'm going to use my Gilded Glow that's in the box by Sculpted by Amy. And I'm going to mix it in with a little bit of black just to kind of create a little bit of texture. So I'm going to go in with a dry, soft, fluffy brush, and I'm just going to paint this over the lid and just here, just across my tear duct, because this is where I'm going to need, and this is where I want the brightness to be. I want that kind of light to be reflected around my eye there. So obviously you're using a powder and you're using a sort of liquidy cream. So you will kind of obviously get a little bit of movement, but sometimes I quite like that in makeup. I don't like it to be kind of stuck in place. I just kind of like that sort of sheerness, that kind of lived in effect. So I'm going to go in with that. Now, I'm going to use these Ico pencils. I've never used this before, but when I tested it on my hand, it's a Limitless Longwear eye pencil. It was really, really soft, and you know how much I love soft pencils. So let's see how this transfers in the waterline. So zero pressure. Oh yes, great. Absolutely great. So my favourites being the kind of Charlotte Tilbury, the Rimmel, Urban Decay, because it really doesn't move. This is also nice. We'll see how it wears. But what I'm going to do is going to use it on the outside of my eye here. And then I'm really going to graduate in some black eyeshadow. And sometimes it's really nice to start with a liner. And what you can probably see actually when I do this with my eye, how much smaller it makes your eye without mascara, because a lot of people put on the liner and then they forget not they forget their mascara, but they just can't be bothered. And honestly, a real trend that I see is women who put blue eyeliner in their eye, in the waterline, and they're good to go. I'm like, no, please don't do that, because it actually makes your eye look smaller and it's not connecting to anything, it's not joining or enhancing your features. But I think people just think, well, just put my eyeliner on and then I'm good to go. So I'm pushing this into the root. That's really important, and just on this outside. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but I just feel like being spontaneous. So I'm going to turn the Beauty Pie brush the other way around, and I'm going to go straight in with the black. Maybe I'm going to use the small part. It's a double-ended brush, actually, look, much softer, a bit like the Bobbi Brown one I used. And then this is the nice applicator at the end. This is called a mini shaper contour brush. So straight into the black, and just because it's black, I'm just going to, and these are obviously quite pigmented, I'm going to just take it off on my hand. Now, I'm going to move this out to the outer edge of my eye, because I need to kind of knock back that shadow and knock back that heavy socket of mine if I've got a grump on. I hope I'm not making you grumpy too. I'm not really grumpy. But yes, just to kind of open out your eyes, the creamy base that you've put on allows you to do this. Just this really subtle smudge. And that is what I like. So you're comparing it to the other side, you can see how it slowly opens up. Oh. Do you know what? That was a sigh of going, feel a bit happier now. Just getting see, it does make a difference, doesn't it? Getting on your little makeup mojo. This is a good little brush actually, really nice for going over eyeliner. I really do like, as another tip, is when I use a really creamy eyeliner, is then to go over with a matte powder, because it really does stay put. I'm going to go even darker now on the outside, because I'm really delighted with how that's blended. So I can really get a nice graduation from deep to light smudge, just knocking back that part of my eye. And I think I want to keep this quite neutral. I don't want it to be colourful. I just want it to really open out my eye. I'm delighted with that. Okay, so let's settle in. So I've done the cream on this side, haven't I? So just add a little bit more powder, just going into the palette there, and I'm going over. First of all, I thought, oh God, I'm going to really spread too much colour. But the lovely highlighter just allowed it to stay in its place. And I just go over the edge of the line. So I'm really pushing this very firm brush all the way to the lash line and in. And obviously if your lid was dry with like a powder shadow, you wouldn't get that nice sort of soft, almost like you do with sort of watercolours really, just that sort of soft, smudgy effect. And yes, you know, in a couple of hours, it might move or might get a bit creasy, but I don't mind that. I don't like necessarily perfection all the time. It is what it is, but I like that effect. Much more of a balance. Still feeling like a little bit more bronzer on, just to warm up my skin. We'll see how it goes with the lips. So just gradually building that up with a tiny little brush. It's actually unlike me not to use the cotton bud, isn't it? But it's quite nice to really work this into the root to kind of get that graduation of colour. I absolutely love all your messages. You're such a kind bunch of subscribers. I don't think I've got a thumbs down in forever. I need to scroll down to my messages to see when the last thumbs down I got. I mean, thank you everyone. You just really are delightful. Now, make sure you just clean your fingers off. How nice does that look? Haven't even got the lashes on yet. Now, mascara wise, what shall we use? This is a new brand called Wonder Skin, and I was investigating this new product that I came across, and it's called Wonder Blading Brow Colour, where you sort of tint your brows. I haven't quite mastered it yet, so I think maybe we'll do that for next week. But this is called Power Fill. I think they've got a really strong following on TikTok, because do you remember those lip products that you used to put on your lips and then it created like a plastic sort of residue, it firmed up and then you peeled it off? I think they were called Bear something. Well, they've got a product very similar to that. It tints your lips, but the colour that I ended up having was sort of like an orangey colour, so it really wasn't that flattering, as in like a sort of browny burnt orange, not a pretty sort of corally bright orange. Anyway, again, I'm whittering on. But what came with this package, because it's a friend of a friend of mine's company, was this mascara. So let's put this on. She said the mascara, Caroline, is so pigmented, which she's right. I like the sort of tapered brush, nice small bristles, just to kind of really get those little eyelashes in the corner. So far, so good. I'll put it on my lower lashes. I much prefer, if you've got very, very small eyes, sometimes you might want to not do too much mascara underneath. But I actually like the fact that when you've got eyeliner in your waterline, putting the mascara on the lower lashes does help to open out the eyes rather than kind of keeping them sort of small. Let's just pop that on. Feels nice. It doesn't feel firm, it feels quite watery, but that sometimes happens, doesn't it, with a new mascara. I'll feedback next week in terms of how it wore throughout the day. But I must say the formula is rather lovely. Look, this little fan brush. Who's this fan brush by? Oh, Gillian Dempsey. Oh yeah, she does some really nice, very kind of vegan, it's just really nice blushes and eyelids. She's a makeup artist based in Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm happy with the eyes. They're not too out there, they're not too anything really, but they just kind of shape my eyes and throw it forward, and that's exactly what I wanted. Just a little bit more of improvement in that area. So it's funny, isn't it? You sort of feel like the blush has sort of faded a little bit. Now I've got the dark colour on, whereas it was really strong before, so I can just put a little bit more. I do tend to overdo my cheeks, I have to say. My husband will often be like, do you need to look that kind of rosy in your cheeks? I'm like, yes, because it makes me feel prettier and healthier. Anything to help, right? So, I might use a little bit of my beloved Biosense Squalene and Vitamin C Rose Oil, which is just, I do really, really love this brand so much, in my hands and on my cuticles. And then just press it in just around the outside. I'm not going to go in with bronzer actually, I'm just going to keep it fresh like that, but just putting that little bit of extra hydration, because that base, the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, is sort of medium to heavy coverage, so you know, just want to keep it fresh as possible. So I'm going to go in for the new Delilah, or I believe they're new, liquid lipsticks, and this is called Breeze, and it's a really, really nice neutral pink. And I have been wearing this, excuse me, and it wears so well. In terms of the liquid lipsticks that I've tried tend to dry my lips out over an hour or so, but this one just keeps a little bit of movement in my lips, so it's great for my artists, because if they're leaving me and I have to do a red carpet somewhere, or they've got lots of interviews, I can feel quite confident that the colour is going to stay put. So I do that, and then very gently pat it down, and then keep rubbing it. Don't take it too much over that top line of my lip. Nice. Oh, come on. See, it always happens, doesn't it? Do you do this too? This is always how you finish your makeup too. I'm not sure whether because I'm a little tired that blush is really not lasting on my cheeks. I mean, literally not lasting on my cheeks. So a liquid lip is always a good option if you want to keep colour on. And doesn't it just sort of balance with the whole makeup? You could even do a little bit of that and put a little touch of warmth just in your socket, which is great if you've got a slight hood to your eye, just to knock back that kind of lightness there. Now that gives a really nice shape, doesn't it? A soft shape to my mouth. But just to give myself a little bit of light, I'm going to go in with a clear gloss. Again, this is the Wonder Skin. This is rather lovely. It's not sticky at all. Just a little bit in the centre of my lips, not too much elsewhere. And there we go. So there is our, I'm not sure what I'll call this, but I think I did a pick-me-up makeup in January, something like that. But here's to getting your mojo back by putting on a little bit of shape around your eyes. And my God, aren't we lucky to be able to have makeup to just kind of give ourselves that injection of va-va-voom when we most need it, right? Listen guys, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in a week or so. Bye for now.